down there today for this event, but I'm getting over a really bad eye infection. And I figured that none of you really wanted to have that.
No, makes
A
sense.
long ways to drive for lunch.
Yeah, and Uber Eats doesn't go that far north.
They don't even have a Tim Hortons in that town, let alone Uber Eats.
No, actually, that's right. We don't have a Timmy's. We don't have Uber. We don't have DoorDash. We have like literally nothing.
So yeah, my kids would say that your town's not really a town. There's no Tim Hortons, there's no Wendy's, nothing. So it's not really an official town then.
Well, the hamburger joint is delivering now, so that part's good.
I smell business opportunity to open up a Tim Hortons up there, so.
Actually, it's the water is the problem.
Yeah, don't drink the water in Sundridge.
Yeah, you can't drink the water in Sundridge. That's why there isn't a Timmy's. There's one in Berks Falls, but not here.
All right, so how's everybody doing since last week? What's going on? Who's working on what? I've got some information, but I want to find out what you guys are doing. Nancy, Elroy, what's happening north?
Got a new waterfront coming to market in about 2 weeks to add to the collections.
Good. Activity wise, what are you seeing?
I sold one firm yesterday.
Excellent.
I have 9 listings at the moment. I've got a waterfront coming at the end of the month, and I've got another one going firm before Friday.
Super. Are they people coming from the GTA?
Yep.
Okay. Elroy, are you seeing that migration as well?
Yeah, lots of buyers looking. Nobody wants to commit to paper. They're all like, what's coming next week? It's like
Okay.
they seem to be caught in that rut. It's like, oh, well, maybe there's a better deal next week.
Okay.
I see a little bit on the multifamily up north, also activity happening, because I have a buyer. We put an offer on property, 4 blocks, and listed for $699. It went in competition, I think, and we didn't get it actually, but got sold within like 2 days, right?
Right.
Good cash flowing property, North Bay.
In North Bay,
Yeah.
right? So there is activity. I talked with Michelle, and I had a meeting with the owners of the office in Sudbury on Monday, and just asking them what their market's doing. Their market, he said anything below 600 and under is in multiple offers. Interesting is that they are finding that still people from the GTA, okay? And since the topic of the Ring of Fire and all the mineral rights and the development of that area that Doug Ford wants to fast track, he said people have come up just in the last month and are buying property, buying businesses. And the reason they are because Sudbury is going to be base camp. So, and the other thing that Sudbury has, it's not just a mining town now. It actually employs, they're the second to Ottawa. They're the next city that employs federal employees. So when you look at that and they're getting multiple offers, then so you got to look at the situation of outside your own backyard, right? So you can understand on what's going on and be knowledgeable so that the consumer you speak with may not be the consumer that's going to look right where you trade. But if you have enough knowledge about what's going on elsewhere, you can continue that conversation and if not service them, but possibly refer them. Okay, so make sure that you expand and read up on and talk with people in different areas on what's going on. Okay, yeah, Nancy?
I heard that property taxes are pretty high in Sudbury.
I don't know if that is the case, but it certainly isn't stopping people from buying.
I think multifamily still was quite attractive. I had a buyer that he was looking at multiplex in Sudbury too, same thing. The numbers made sense.
right?
It was like 10, 11 plaques or something for just 1.1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
It was a very good attractive price, right?
Yeah.
But you get in Toronto here for that
Well,
price.
and that's where if you're dealing with the investors, then you'll understand that investment real estate is all about numbers, right? And Gautam, you do a lot of it. You do seminars on it, webinars and all that stuff. What are you finding from the investor?
As long as properties make sense, numbers are making sense, they are on it for it, right? So
Okay.
I've got another buyer looking in North Bay again. We're putting an offer on probably tomorrow. Duplex, like smaller property.
Smaller, okay, but
But again,
yeah.
cash flowing property, positive cash flowing, numbers are making sense.
Okay. How are they financing these investment properties?
Just general bank directly. Those properties are even liked by banks because those are multifamily and banks count those rents as part of the income. So
Okay,
they self kind of, do the numbers calculation and banks love those properties.
so are they putting 20% down or do they have to put more? 20%? Okay. And obviously they have to qualify based on, because even when they'll take that rental income
Yeah.
as income, but they'll also have to support from what their current,
Guaranteed from their
Guaranteed.
personal, yeah,
right,
sure.
okay.
I have a question for Alroy and Nancy. The people buying, or at least so far looking at those properties up where you guys are at, are they selling in Toronto to buy and live, or are they buying as a recreation home?
Go ahead, Elroy. I mean, I can answer this. I mean, most of the people that I'm dealing with right now are coming from the GTA, and it's a secondary home. It's a cottage. And what's happening is people are taking advantage of the fact that they bought their house for whatever 10 years ago, and now they're leveraging the equity in their primary home to buy a secondary vacation home. That's what I'm seeing. Elroy?
Yeah, most of my buyers are looking at a secondary home.
Yeah.
With the eye of retirement down the road, like 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
totally retire and then sell their GTA house out. Then, these buyers that I got right now, most of them are cash buyers, which is the
Yeah.
crazy thing.
Yeah, I
they're
know,
all
me too.
looking for a deal.
Yeah, well, if they've been looking for a year and a half, 2 years, which when people start looking at recreational property, understand that they just don't all of a sudden wake up one morning and go, okay, I'm ready to go do this. They start doing their research. And for anybody that, I've got a client of mine that we've been looking for, let's call it acreage property, Owen Sound South, for a year and a half right now. And it's interesting because he took himself out of the marketplace in August last year and just said, you know what, I got family stuff going on. I'm just not gonna do anything. And I kept, hey, you know what, here's what the market doing. Here's what the market's doing. And again, as I do every January, I called everybody I know who might be an opportunity. And I said to him, I said, you know that right today, you could probably save $50,000 to $75,000 on the same properties you were looking at a year ago. And I think right now is a great opportunity to get out there and look. He said, you know what, and I kept sending him stuff. Well, we're really close to buying a place just outside Owen Sound. And if I didn't keep in touch and educate him on what's going on, I probably would have lost him. Because actually the property that we're close at putting an offer in on, he saw on an open house last summer, and it's $55,000 cheaper right now. So people that you may have been working with a year and a half, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that may have found it difficult, either because of financing or just the market was going faster, make sure you reach back to them and keep them updated and send them opportunities, because they're still in the marketplace. Even though you don't think they are, If they've thought about it once, they're still gonna be in the marketplace. Okay? What if you knew what the buyers were thinking and where they were getting their information? Would you like to know where that is? None of you give a crap that you don't.
Yes, yes, I care. I want to know.
I'm not sure I want to know their brains that bad.
Well, here you go. CMHC did a survey, a 2025 survey of consumers. Where do you think they go first?
Realtor.ca.
Possibly.
House Sigma,
House Sigma.
like all of those, all of
Yeah.
those sites. That it was so much easier when we didn't have all of that available to the consumer.
Okay. So the new wave of Canadian home buyers entering the market are armed with digital tools, family support, and a hint of financial pressure. That's the feeling of the consumer today. Okay. On their digital platforms, they're looking for research, not basic information. So they're looking for some person to explain the process, some person to walk them through the transaction digitally. Are you doing that? Are you putting out information that is helping the consumer learn about the process? Or are you putting out information that's just general information? If you're not putting out the information where you're educating them, you're missing out, because here is the interesting part. 77% of the respondents, consumers, are going to YouTube first. So if you are not on YouTube, and if you are not putting out information, education, explaining the process, you're missing 77% of the consumers right now. To me, that was huge. I had no idea.
Okay. What's the percentage of consumers that are going to Google first?
Well, and Google may take them to YouTube, but YouTube is where they're going to get their digital learning experience.
Interesting.
Because when you go to Google, all you're doing, Google's a search engine.
It's gonna take you somewhere.
It's gonna take you somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So if you actually go on to Google and just put in Google, I want to learn about the buying and selling process of real estate, and you put in, if you click on all or you hit video, it's all YouTube.
And you know why that is? It's Google owns YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So where are the consumers going? So who's got a YouTube station that's got all kinds of information and learning and stuff on it? Anybody here?
I
I have a YouTube channel, but there's not much on it.
Okay,
I do share, whatever I share on other social media, I do put it on YouTube as well.
okay,
I see lately, the views are going up and up and up on YouTube. And
Yeah.
it's happening naturally.
right, okay,
Even like reels and all, it's
Yep.
going on YouTube now as well.
okay. So, all right, you're not alone in that comment where you said that you have a YouTube station, but there's very little on it and you're probably not promoting it or updating it at all, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a task for everybody. I have just brought you all the information on where the consumers are and how you need to present it. Right? We have all of the technology here to do video stuff. We have the mics, we have the lighting, we have, and you could certainly do it yourself, but what I have found and what this survey has found is that the consumers are going to YouTube to get that information. First time buyer information, mortgage information, the buying process information. They're actually learning about communities where they want to live through YouTube. Okay. One of the, again, when we were talking with the Sudbury office, we were asking them who do they see in the marketplace? What's going on? They have a very strong office and they do a lot of good business. He said, well, it's amazing. He said, one of the agents here has a small team and has just blown apart the community where just pretty well majority of the listings are now going through this one team. And I said, what are they doing differently? He said he started doing videos in YouTube a year ago. Well, because of what's going on in the marketplace, because he was doing all the YouTube stuff, the media picked up on it. And so the media interviewed him. Now people are going to his YouTube station just to find out about what's going on in Sudbury, what to do in Sudbury, where to live in Sudbury, what's the education like, hospitals, all of that is on his YouTube station, right? So it's a place for consumers to go, not to just get real estate statistics, real estate stuff. It's to go to get all the information about that community. Or if you're not doing that, you're missing out. And you need to start doing that. When I went through the survey, I was really shocked to find how strong YouTube now is, or has been. And we have had different instructors, when we were at Realtor Quest and stuff like that on, people are doing blogs and they're putting it on their YouTube station. And that's where people are going to gather the information in that format. So I think it's something that we all need to look at and figure out how we can get on that platform a lot stronger because we're missing out. Okay. And use it in an avenue that, Elroy, you're doing all kinds of, I know you and Nancy always put out information, what's going on in the community and things like that. Well, now maybe you need to figure a way, how do you drive people, how do you get some videos up and educational stuff up on your YouTube and start really promoting that more so? Because that's how the consumers want to read, that's how they want to learn. That's how they want to correspond. So first of all, if you don't have a station or a channel, whatever the hell they call it, get one, do your research, go on and just see what other, top agents are doing with that platform. You don't have to recreate you have to reinvent the wheel here, but make it yours and really make sure, because if the consumers are there, and what I found interesting is the younger generation, that's where they're going. Which the survey also mentioned. So anyways, I just thought that would be, I actually thought it was Facebook, but YouTube is actually ahead of Facebook in this survey. So now, who owns Instagram? Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
Is there a percentage they give? How much Facebook people, the percentages?
It doesn't give the percentage, but it definitely says that, and that's what they were saying. It was amazing that they were actually, and this is CMHC, they were actually surprised that YouTube was ahead of Facebook. Facebook's still strong, but YouTube is ahead. Okay. So something to make sure that you're looking at. The other part to understand is that majority of the people surveyed are getting financial help from a gift from relatives. Okay, so now understand that if they're getting financial help from a relative, who else is doing the research? All right, now you've got not only the end user consumer, but now you've got the people that are gifting them some of the down payment. I can guarantee you are also doing the research. Okay, so that's just something, it was interesting to see that. Let's see what else we got. The other comment that came out of this, which was good for us, still technology isn't replacing human expertise. Overall, realtors were seen as the most valuable person during the home buying process, okay? 28% among first-time buyers and 37% among repeat buyers. So we still play a very strong role, but they're getting their initial information, okay, online, but the information has to be delivered in a format that they're learning and that they're being educated and it's taking them through the process. And I think that's why YouTube's becoming that, because one, you can have longer videos, you can have more detail, and it's a place where they can keep going back to and see everything all in one spot. Okay. So really important that they understand where they are. That's why when I saw this, I thought I'd better bring that to everybody's attention, because it is something that we got to make sure we're there. First-time buyers reported an average of 3.7 years of savings before they had enough money to have a deposit, down payment. So if they're planning, and it takes 3.7 years for them to average to save, how long are they online looking at stuff? How long are they starting the process before they actually can do it? So really important to make sure that you're there, right? And that your content is moving them through the stages. Okay. Still, one of the things for that the home buyers are encountering, which they became unexpected, were the unexpected expenses. Okay, so 42% of the people were most common surprised by the cost that they immediately had, which were repairs after moving in that they were not aware of or expecting. Okay, the actual cost of lawyers, not just the actual lawyer fee, but all the other disbursements. Okay. Cost for home inspections. Okay. What has happened is a lot of the buyers have leaned heavily on credit cards after moving in because they used all their money up for the down payment. Okay. Or family loans to cover the gaps that they needed. Okay. So if that's what the consumers are saying on their survey, then better make sure that any of the videos that you're doing address that, right? The other thing that it talks about is the fact that they rely on family loans and the credit because of they've used all their money up for their extra closing fees, things like that. And, so their personal savings are declining. Now, the other aspect of all this, and what all of the respondents really touched on, was the stress. They were really surprised on how stressful it was, even though they thought they had a lot of the information. So if that's the case, make sure you address that. Make sure you let them know, like, this is a stressful, whole thing is stressful, but how are you going to alleviate the stress? How are you going to keep them involved so that you're talking about, making them aware when their anxiety is going to kick in, because it will, right? We always talk about, buyer's remorse right after that, they've bought. Next morning, they're going to wake up and go, oh crap, what have we done?
Yeah.
Right? Well, if you know they're going to feel that, let them know you're going to feel that. One of the things I used to do, I should probably start doing again, is I always had M&Ms with me. So as soon as they bought, and I'd say to them, look, tomorrow morning, you're gonna feel like you've done something that is, you're now gonna go like, oh my gosh, what have we done? Take 2 of these in the morning and you'll be fine. It's a natural feeling. All right? So prep them for it. Have fun with it, but prep them for it. All right? Yeah, Nancy.
I think the biggest thing for me with first time buyers is make sure they know about the land transfer tax.
Yeah,
Blindsides them like huge, like right in the side of the head. Okay, now it's thousands of dollars more than you were expecting because they don't know about the land transfer tax.
absolutely good. And other costs, right? Like, and that's a big one because that's, you know, especially in Toronto, because it's double. Right? So make sure you know what the, you know, go through with them and on the videos that you're doing. Walk through, okay, buyer's expense costs and explain it to them. And if you don't know, call up your lawyer, you know, a lawyer that you have, or a real estate lawyer. Go have coffee with them and just say, hey, can you educate me on the closing costs? Where'd you find these?
They're in one of the old banks. I'm sure they're expired. They're not new. But
Buyer's remorse pills. Take 1 capsule by mouth the morning after buying a house to prevent buyer's remorse.
Oh, I love it. That's so cute.
250 mg cap, quantity 20. To be administered by a certified agent, no refills. All right, there you go. That's your project for the day. I didn't even know we had those. Well, there you go. Yes, so if you don't, you know, if you don't know what the closing costs are, again, there's great opportunity. Meet with one of your, you know, real estate lawyers and just go get educated, right?
Even explaining them like the offer process,
Yep.
right? Like how does it work? Cause I dealt with like an older lady. I mean, she's like, I'm at work, don't bother me tomorrow. I said, well, the offer is tomorrow, we need to talk.
Yeah,
It gets explaining them, like there are timelines, deliverables, and we need to get in touch, talk, whatever, and communicate.
and you know, this is, you know, what I use, and I'm sure they still have them. The actual documents explained, I think AREA has them, or the boards have, right? Forms explained. You cannot post those on the open internet, by the way, because they are only for internal use as realtors. But absolutely, you can send them to your clients because now you have that relationship. And absolutely, you know, go through that. Like that would be a perfect video to do. You can just read off each spot because it's highlighted and explains it in simple terms, right? So absolutely, you know, those are that's what the consumers are looking for. Rather than just stats, rather than just property, it's, you know, they're gonna get to that part, but they want to be educated. They want to know the process. They want to feel like they're in control. So how are you educating them and letting them know that you're going to assist them through the whole process and what for them to expect? Okay. So if you are interested in going through the whole survey and stuff, you can actually find it at CMHC. And you just go to CMHC Canada Mortgage Housing Consumer Survey 2025. Okay. So that's what I wanted to bring to the table today. And as I said, I was really more amazed at how YouTube was really in the forefront for what people are doing with it. Okay. Okay. What else is going on? We've got, I'm seeing some momentum shift in the marketplace. We were looking at pricing a condo in Toronto. Jade and I were doing that yesterday, right? And we were looking at a price from March 2022 to pricing today. And it's down about 22%. Okay, 1 bedroom plus 10, no parking. But the interesting fact, AJ, that we found is once they hit once you hit that right price, places were selling. Which prior to, they were just dropping. With our research we did yesterday, we could see that at the right pricing, buyers were, in some places, we were talking earlier, some listing agents were listing it at a ridiculously low price, and it was obtaining multiple offers and selling for more. Okay, so really important to, keep up with your research, but the momentum I'm feeling, and just with talking with different people, consumers are out there. They're feeling, and the other shift that just happened too is the government went through and looked at their economic forecasting and actually found that the factors that they were afraid would be diminishing were actually holding and were better than they thought. So the economy is actually stronger and there's more confidence in it than the government anticipated. So when you start seeing that kind of news coming out, people that were sitting on the sidelines waiting for the doom and gloom to keep happening, and they start seeing places that they were looking at online possibly are now sold, then it's a matter of, okay, well, maybe I need to start doing something. So, talking with different agents in different areas, there is a little bit of momentum now. And we talked about this, previously, and, even a couple months ago, where we said, once we get the understanding of the effect from tariffs, the understanding of getting the elections all over with, and 60 days after that election, that we would start seeing a little bit more of a balance and understanding. And we're right around that time frame. Okay. So really important to make sure you're communicating with all your database. Make sure you're doing all the things to get yourself in front of new consumers. Right. So now you have an avenue, YouTube you need to be working on. Still need to be doing your Facebook stuff, but video, digital stuff, if you're not doing it, that's where everybody's going. Okay. But as far as keeping in touch with your database, I strongly recommend do not forget about the old, they're on strike or going on strike. But I can tell you, when I send out my monthly newsletters by mail, I still get a response from at least one of my clients, one of my consumers, every month, because it gets mailed directly to them. Okay. So if you're not doing direct mail pieces, think about that as well, because it does get in their hands. People still love to get mail. That's not, that's information, and then one thing that it keeps you in touch with them. Okay. Has anybody felt that momentum shifting? Anybody seeing activity on open houses at all? Anybody doing any work at all?
I see buyers coming out actually now and making decisions, and previously they were just like holding off. Now they're like, okay, get to the next stage, right? Let's go see a property. If I'm telling them about go through pre-approval, and I see like they are going through pre-approval now and being serious to see what they can get. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they're still looking for good deals because they still want to get the best out of the property, whatever.
Yeah.
But at least they're getting serious now, getting to the next stage, shifting. Previously, you tell them pre-approval and they were like, hold off, we're not ready yet.
Right.
Like, that's what I feel.
Well, actually, that's interesting you say that, because right in this survey, it talks about, where did I see that? 71% of the consumers surveyed submitted a mortgage pre-qualification or pre-approval online. So. Okay,
Have any new updates about the home ownership program in Ontario? Any new thing?
new stuff that the government has introduced? Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if the current new government has introduced any.
What there is new home ownership program introduced in May?
In Waterloo?
I didn't check, but I just want to make sure if you.
So the
know.
municipality of Waterloo? Okay, there are, some municipalities are coming out with programs that's affordable housing programs, okay? Majority of that is for rental purpose-built properties, right? So it's rental, yeah. So Toronto's doing one. Well, I heard Waterloo was doing one. So what their municipalities are trying to do is they're trying to joint venture with other companies together to do a purpose-built rental program. CMHC has a program for builders for purpose-built rental buildings. They will actually, if you submit your proposal, CMHC will look at financing 90% of it, which is unheard of for new construction. Okay.
And also something about, I heard, down payment as well.
I haven't heard anything about down payments for people buying.
And first time home buyer GST is also going to be eliminated.
Well, that's the government, a part of their platform, and maybe Julia, can you help there with, during the election, there was a lot of talk about doing something with waiving HST for first-time home buyers buying new property, or was there anything in the platform about that?
Yes, it came out yesterday, and I haven't looked at all the details. It seemed a little bit layered, but I think that the round message was first-time buyers of new properties would save up to $50,000 with that GST rebate, and in the city of Toronto, it would end up being more. So they
Okay.
must have some type of a cap on it, but I can get I've been kind of waiting for them to email me the messaging from,
Okay,
but I'm
I
sure
just
it'll be
figured we'd go to our government guru, so.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I saw a similar announcement that the GST
Yeah.
and HST on first-time home buyers for new builds was
New
being
build.
waived. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
new builds, not resale, which is too bad, but
Yeah.
um,
Is
yeah,
there-
I'm
Okay.
not sure how they're planning to curtail overseas buying and, spark the investment buyer, but we'll see how that works out.
Okay, well, anything that comes across your desk from the government, we,
Sure.
yeah, would love your input on it. Okay? Yeah, Nancy, hands up.
Yeah, was there also the program that first time buyers are exempt from the land transfer? Yeah, I think so. First time buyers, right, Julia? Yeah.
Yeah, there is part of a program there. I just don't remember the specifics of the details. So, and of course, it hasn't been passed yet, so we'll see what the details look like.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, there is still first-time home buyers have a rebate. They get up to $2,000, I believe, 2,000. So another, again, thinking of your YouTube channel, those would be any of the government programs, any buyer programs, rebates, anything, right? Make sure you're aware of them and present them. Right? And then always, when you are doing that kind of information, you always need to have a way for them to either subscribe or be able to get the information directly by download or email. Okay? So just don't be giving out the information. Make sure there's a way that they can communicate and be able to get the information. Okay? Okay. Anything else? Questions, thoughts? What are you guys seeing in the rental market right now?
There is no rental market here.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm not joking. Like, it's a crisis. There's no
Yeah.
rentals here. People are like almost homeless.
Yeah. Now time for you to build a couple places.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. I'll just go to the bank and grab my $500,000 and build an apartment building.
I hear there's a government program for rental purpose built.
Find some of that
Actually,
unorganized land, Nancy, and start putting up accessory dwelling units.
it's actually really, it is a crisis. There are no rentals here. And if you do get a rental here, it's obscene. Like, if you go to a duplex, like in town beside the post office here, Elroy, that you know, it's like $1,900 a month for a 2-bedroom.
Well, hang on. What are you getting in North Bay
I guess a 2-bedroom is about 1,900, 2,000.
for a 2-bedroom?
3-bedroom, $2,200. Yeah, 1-bedroom, minimum $1,400-1,500.
In North
And
Bay?
they're not even like units here,
Yeah.
they're like just for the local people. But
Yeah.
the rental rates are really high, that's why the cash flow numbers are making a whole lot of sense.
Right.
And vacancy rate is literally zero.
Right.
Somebody gives a notice on vacating and next you can put it out and you have it rented before they move out even.
Also in Toronto, compared to last 3 months, they have reduced almost 1-bedroom 500, like
Correct.
1,000. 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom is for 2,500.
Yeah.
And for 3-bedroom, they have reduced to almost 2,800 in Toronto.
In Toronto, the rents have come down.
Yeah, coming down.
Okay. And
And the other
Julie?
thing, sorry.
go ahead.
Well, the other thing that I'm struggling with too, which is completely off the rental topic,
What?
I just listed one the other day, and I don't know if you noticed, the property tax is $7,800.
Wow.
How am I going to sell that?
How much is it worth?
Well, it's listed for I listed that one for 649.9. It's huge. It's a 2,200 square foot house with a 56 by 15 garage. Yeah, you heard me, 56 by 15. You can put a motorhome in it. But it's right in Sunridge, and Sunridge taxes are obscene. Who's gonna buy a house with $7,800 taxes? That's more than my truck payment.
How does it compare to other properties? Around?
Yeah, to other
It's-
properties.
It's priced correctly. And the taxes are a little bit higher on this one because of that obscenely huge garage.
Okay.
Good spot for a
so-
home business or someone running a business.
Okay. So then, if somebody was gonna buy that house in the same area, what would the taxes have been?
Probably around $6,000. Sunridge is ridiculous for their taxes.
So, okay, so you're talking about a $1,500 difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So for $1,500 yearly, they're getting the garage, the big garage,
A big garage, the bunkie, the 2,200 square foot house.
so, well, but if the house is the same as another house, then, and the taxes are only $6,000 for the other one, so you're telling me for $1,500 more a year, they're getting this huge garage and bunkie.
That's correct.
Okay, how much would it cost to build that garage and bunkie today?
Oh, I would say probably easy 65,000.
Okay, so take 65,000. Divide it by 1,500. Who's doing that?
Okay. Go ahead.
So 65,000 divided by 1,500.
It's 43.
43 years, I just amortized the extra taxes for you. So to me, it's a bargain. So for $1,500 a year for 43 years, you're gonna get this fabulous garage, which you could turn into a work from home business. Plus you've got this bunkie you could probably rent out because we have no rentals in the area,
Yes,
right?
valid,
So,
but the bunkie doesn't
okay.
have water.
Well, fix that, right? Describe the garage to me.
Well, it's 15 feet wide and it's just deep. Like you can put a tractor trailer in it. It's high enough. It's got like, I think we
Big
determined
overhead
like
door.
20, it's a 20-foot height. So you can literally park a tractor trailer or a motorhome in it.
Could you put 2 apartments in it?
If it had water.
Does the property have a well or is it town
Yeah.
water?
No, everything's well in Sundridge.
Okay,
Well, septic. So if you were gonna put 2 apartments in there and have the bunkie, you would have to have the septic reassessed because the septic was installed for a 3-bedroom, and once you add accessory apartments, the septic has to comply.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but for me, $1,500 extra on taxes, even to have that size of a garage and the bunkie is on advertised that over 43 years, seems like a bargain.
Okay, I mean, I just wanted to have a different angle because I'm a little, I mean, I already told my sellers that, you know, this isn't gonna jump off the market overnight.
But
because of the
all
tax.
so all I'm trying to express to everybody here is get rid of the stinking thinking. Okay,
I'm curious,
Are
I'm
you
curious
kidding
about
me?
this property. Where does the line, where's the line when the taxes go to the next area where it's lower? Like how far away is that?
They are bang in the middle of town.
They're bang in the middle of town, so the taxes are lower in what town? It has to be a neighboring town, right? I assume.
Well, this listing is in Sundridge,
Yeah,
which is a village.
yeah, I
And
know
then
Sundridge.
Surrounded by Sundridge is Strong, which is where I live. Strong
Right.
is where the taxes go down.
So what would a house like this cost in Strawn?
In Strong, the house itself would probably be worth, you know, a little bit more because the taxes are, you know, a lot less in Strong.
Mhm. So,
I
you
think
know,
the
when you're,
taxes are affecting the value.
yeah, well, that's kind of the story, isn't it? Because you're getting the same house for less money. Yes, your carrying costs are a little bit more, but you're financing the same house for less money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Strong. I'm in a 3-bedroom, very large house
Yeah.
on on a quarter acre, and my taxes are 1,300.
1,300.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I'm on well and septic.
Hmm. And
1300
it's
per
only
month?
on.
No, oh, per year, okay.
No, that would be my house.
Yeah.
No.
mine too. I just got my tax bill went up 9.7%.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just think there's a conversation where you could say the reason why it's priced lower, I mean, this is a good marketing ploy for buyers, is because the neighboring towns, this house would be more. So, you know,
Fair.
it's all how you frame it, I guess.
Yeah, and that's all, Nancy. We're not picking on you. We're just trying to give you an idea
Yeah.
of how if your frame of mind is the taxes are so high, no one's going to buy it, then we got to get that stinking thinking away and look at what value and then what great things they're getting because of where the house is located. Yeah, you're paying a little bit extra in taxes, but if this was over in this community, you'd probably be paying 20,000-30,000 more. So you're getting the garage and bunkie, really, that if you look at it, paying extra $1,500 per year for that, the cost of just rebuilding these, it's 43 years before you're even going to be losing money on that.
You know, that it's a very interesting perspective, and I know you're not picking on me. I think this is why we have an open discussion, right?
For
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have the same kind of conversation around condos because some condos have super high fees because they're older, but you're getting more per square foot, yet the price per square foot is less because the fees are higher and it's older. So, you know, it's all how you all weighing in your wants against your what else you could get. So there's choices on both ends. So it's just all about
I
framing.
think it's,
Cool.
I think the conversation here is exactly what it is adding value, showing the value of a home versus another area. I had the same thing regarding a purchase of a condo where we were looking for a condo that had the square footage that my client wanted, but they were super afraid of the maintenance fees. We did find a beautiful condo. The maintenance fees were $1,200 per month. But I showed them the value versus other condos in the area, and they realized, wait a second, yes, 1,200 is a lot, but I am getting everything else that I want out of this condo. So now that 1,200 is not a big deal. Whereas before they were very adverse of anything higher than $800 a month in condo fees.
Good. Have we got that property sold yet, Nancy?
Just got an offer.
Excellent. All right, who else has a property that they're struggling with? Need some help with? Elroy, did you sell that one in Wasaga Beach?
Not yet. Just had pictures redone, doing an open house on it, dropped the price. Trying to get people in
$7.99?
that door. $7.99 now, yep.
Okay.
A bargain.
Yeah, it's right on that's part of the river part, right, Georgia? The
Yeah,
river
it's
off-
right at the mouth of the Nottawasaga River. You can see the opening to the Georgian Bay from the property. It's right there.
Yeah.
So
Use that
if you got a
aerial
big
shot.
sailboat, there's no obstructions to get to your dock.
Perfect. Okay. Who else has anything listed right now? Let's talk about what you got.
Well, the Cambridge house is what we're struggling with right now. So we have a beautiful home completely renovated in 2020, and then in 2022, the backyard was completely renovated as well. $200,000 added to the backyard for landscaping, pool, lighting, and you name it, everything. The problem that we have with this particular home is it's located in an area that's doesn't support that price in terms of other homes in that area are they're priced around 600,000 to 800,000. We've priced this at 1.2 million based on other homes in that area that are similar. We're finding that though we had a lot of traction where agents were booking viewings, no offers, not even a phone call to even say, hey, we're thinking of coming in with this. The response has been that the home is beautiful, it's stunning, it's move-in ready, it's gorgeous. So clearly price is the one determining factor here. A recent home that is similar to that sold recently for $1.05 million. So we're now in a situation where most likely we need to list it at $1.05 million to at least get more traction in. But now we're really, that's going to be a big drop in price. And I don't know if that home supports that price point now in terms of what is owed on the mortgage and everything. Now we're in a situation. And the biggest problem too was the homeowner purchased the home at the height of the market, unfortunately, and without consulting us, invested $200,000 in the backyard because they wanted the pool, they wanted that, but then unfortunately had to move because of work. So that's the situation we're in.
Yeah, price, when the house is done up that well, price is the only thing,
Yeah.
right? So that's the biggest challenge is price is always a factor when that much is done.
Yeah, many homes in the area in Cambridge is they're either terminated, the similar style homes of this caliber have either terminated, and that one did sell for $1.05 million. That was listed for 1.2 million. So clearly they had to drop the price as well. So
Okay. Who else has something? Well, let's talk about price reductions. Elroy,
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask you, the listing that you have now for $7.99,
yeah,
it started at $8.99, I believe, right?
that's correct.
And then you went to $8.59 or $8.50-ish in that range?
850 even, yeah.
Okay. Can you share with us how you approached doing that with the seller?
This one was actually really easy, to be honest. I got a very
Okay.
motivated seller.
There
So
you
when
go.
we initially listed, we looked at the market and said, stuff that's selling is around the 900 mark in this condition. We thought we would try it for 2 weeks, and I told her after 2 weeks, we will look at our price reduction. And then I said to her, and really to get it fresh eyes on it, we need to drop it to the next bucket price level. I mean, to go from 899 to 875 doesn't make any sense because the buyers are still looking in the same price range. We need to drop till we get the buyers that are looking up to 850 will see it now. So that's where we went to 850, seeing a bump in the action, but we can't get anyone in the door. It's very frustrating. Online
Yeah.
views are great, lots of looks, but they're just not stepping in the door. And I know when I get them to the door, as you saw, Scott, it's a beautiful property. I
Yeah.
mean, so that's why we redid all the pictures on it. It really really full color now with all the leaves out on the trees. It looks fantastic with the dock out and the umbrellas out, and show the opening to the Georgian Bay, and then drop the price to $7.99 because obviously the buyer looking up to 850 is not in that group. So got to get it down. And she's more than willing to drop it. I mean, she's very motivated. And just looking at it now at 800, there's hardly any waterfronts anywhere that are going to touch that price. They're all floating close to the million, but there's too many of them.
Yeah. Everybody understand when he means that the buyers are looking in a certain range? Okay. If you have not done so, go online as a consumer. Okay, because a lot of the online sites, realtor.ca and other sites, will have a drop down for price range. And it usually is within $50,000 increments, right?
Yeah.
So use that, one, make sure, okay, that when you're pricing a property, see where your search ranges are. Make sure that your asking price fits into the range where you're supposed to be. Okay. Also, when you're looking at doing any type of price adjustment, just as Elroy said, going down 10,000, I'm dealing with it right now with my condo, with my client that I have in Air Mills here. He says, well, let's drop it 10. I'm going, no, it's not enough. How far do we have to go? In all fairness, 50, at least 25 to get it down to another range. And just be able to explain that and why. Okay. Thanks, Elroy. Good points there. Yes, Nate.
You're welcome.
Alright, have you thought about canceling the listing and relisting so that people see it? Because
Thought
sometimes
about that.
if it drops too far down, people are like, they won't even see your price change.
Yeah, no, we've had that discussion. That might be our next strategy. But we notice when we do a price drop, the online views jump a lot. Like they're back up to almost when it's new listing levels.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I've been watching that closely. I think we've had 2,500 looks online at this place and only 3 viewings. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Like the numbers make no sense there.
It's like my Eagle Lake Road property that I can't sell.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so understand how, from a consumer's eyes, okay? And Elroy, you're absolutely right, because now consumers, if they've ever looked at a property, they can get notified of a price change, they can get notified of open house, the systems now allow a consumer, even, I believe even the Toronto board app, or your board apps, now that you can submit to your database, have the ability for them to customize how and what they want to be notified of. Okay. So make sure you know how to use all those tools. Okay. Any other listings? Any other things going on out there. Okay. Again, you have to be doing your daily activities and your weekly activities. If you are not, unfortunately, nothing's going to happen. Agents that are having deals done are doing all of the aspects of what they need to be doing. They're educating the consumer. They're following up with the consumer. They're getting in front of the consumer. They're following up with their database. They're going out and meeting people. They're creating ways of engaging with consumers. And understand in this kind of market, you have to engage with more people because lots of them you engage with will put everything on hold and won't advance. That's just a normal marketplace. Okay, so make sure you track your numbers. Okay. This afternoon, what do we have on, Michelle?
At 1 p.m., we have our second session of forms, knowledge, and expertise with Cassandra Walker. Today, it's about the agreement of purchase and sale form for freeholds.
Okay. So as we talked about, okay, doing a YouTube channel, this session is going to be ideal for you to be able to do a session, to be able to put it on your YouTube. Okay. Because it's all about educating. Right now, we've got somebody that was with Aria that's going to educate us on all of the everything. You also have the ability of using, she was actually involved with doing the forms explained. Okay. So this is a great opportunity this afternoon to be able to use this to be able to create what you can present on your channel for the consumers. Okay. Anything else before we wrap this up? Thank you for all the input of everything. Yeah, Julie. Yep. You just waving goodbye.
Yeah, no, I stuck the press release on the finance message from yesterday in the chat box.
Oh, super. Okay. Great. We'll make sure everybody gets that. Won't we, Michelle?
Yep. The royal we.
Sorry, that was funny.
You should say our team will send.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
the team.
Yeah.
She is the
That's
team,
right.
yeah.
I, me,
So-
myself.
Our accountant.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see
I do-
everybody.
I do want to say one thing.
Yeah.
To everybody that's involved in this conversation, I really appreciate these open forum conversations and being able to speak with colleagues, about difficulties or ideas.
Great. No, that's why we do it. That's what it's all about. So we appreciate.
And I want to give shout out to Nancy too, because I had a client who inquired about buying a land somewhere. And I had a personal call with Nancy. She walked me through and gave me a lot of learning about that because I have no experience about that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for all the help and education you provided. And I went to my client. Yes, thank you.
And I'll throw my 2 seconds in. If you got questions on Lofty, let me know. I don't mind a phone call.
Yeah, you've had good success. You're finding that you're really working well with it, Elroy. So thank you for being our guinea pig to really try, because you were using a different system, a competitive system, right? So, and,
This
So-
one's very intuitive. It kind of reads your thoughts and helps you along, which is nice. And even during this meeting, it was sending out emails to people. It's like, oh, it's hard at work.
well, and that's why when we saw it and Realty Executives International introduced it to us earlier this year, we really felt it could be a really great system. And that's why, we took our time, we looked at, all the different aspects of it, had people like yourself trying it out, people out in Saskatoon were trying it out, people in Michigan were working on it, Florida were trying it out as well. And it's really, I think it's if you use it, right, and understand it, I think it's a game changer because everything is there.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you at 1 o'clock and then next week as well. All right. Take care.